The Dixons. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Episode 4 of The Old Man is out. It's called simply 4. Before we get started into that, I did not do a video for episode 3. So we're going to do a quick little recap to kind of bridge the gap between episodes 1 and 2 and episode 4. Life sort of, I guess, happened, and I had to go away on a quick trip, but I'm back. So episode 3 picked up right after 2, just got the inverse of the phone call that was made by Harold Harper to the hitman, who we come to be known as Julian. And Julian, at the top of this episode of 3, just a regular ass dude who is caretaking for his sick grandmother. He's at the bus stop getting groceries for her, prepping, getting ready to take the bus. Then he gets the call. Gets a call to get tagged in to go take somebody out. And so we hear the other side, like, you know, if you're calling me, you got my number, the tit for tat that he had with John Lithgow. So that's sort of where that episode begins. We then pick up with Dan and Zoe at the house. And Zoe's got to make this quick run to go handle the money, tuition stuff that we mentioned in the last episode. And Dan is like, yeah, before you do, I won't be here when you get back. And starts to kind of slowly peel off the band-aid that, yeah, we should probably both be getting out of here. Because at the traffic stop that happened, they got my photo. And by now, they've run it, and you and or I are both in danger. Because he knows that the FBI is about to converge in on this house and wreck shop. What he doesn't know is that Harold Harper has also put a hitman on the board. So who gets there first? Who knows? But there's a hitman and there's an FBI thing that are sort of swarming in, and he's under the gun. All he knows is with the FBI. And so she sort of starts freaking out. She starts running and like, nope, I don't want to do this. She gets to her car, and as she does so, the dogs start barking, and the intruder Julian has made it there and starts. They have a tit for tat. They go for broke. In that fight, things happen. Julian gets shot because Zoe comes back in after she unleashes the dog, because basically Dan is losing this battle. As much as Dan is a good fighter, Julian is like at least 30 years younger than he is, so he gets the upper hand on him. Zoe levels the playing field with the dogs. She shoots him, and they take off. Now, it is at this point where Dan sort of takes her under hostage, as more so than as a partner, which we'll get into a lot in part 4. But he puts her away, and he sort of tricks the FBI into believing that he's on the run, when in fact he's still hanging around with this drone that is watching. Because as they leave, and Julian gets absconded by what believed to be his brother or some type of partner with him, from any Flash fans, you'll see a second character, or Flash and Arrow fans, you'll see a second character from the CW Arrowverse in this episode. But the house is clear, but the FBI swarm in, they see a bullet shot, so they know that there has been something that has taken place. But the FBI sort of comes in, and they can't find anything. And then all of a sudden, the drone is sort of going around, but they can't see because there's a lot of tree coverage. So in that, essentially, we see Dan take a machine gun out and shoot the drone out the sky, and they lose sight. So they have no type of visual evidence on this. What we learn in this episode is that Emily is sort of playing a bit of my two dads. Emily is the daughter of Dan, but also the surrogate sort of daughter, or the next of kin kind of daughter to Harold Harper, but is playing as Angela, takes the position of Angela with the FBI. They are one and the same person. And so all the scenes that we've seen of Angela, all the phone calls we've been hearing have been of Emily, and they are one and the same. And so it's a pretty decent sized reveal that takes place. And we don't know if the other two are aware of the infiltration in this episode for 3. There are a lot of flashbacks in episode 3 that show that Dan, sort of at the younger part of him, was part of an operation with Farhad Hamzad, who's a name that we come to know quite a bit in this series, and his wife Belor, who what we have led to believe and understand is that Dan had taken Balor away from Hamzad and father to child, which is who Emily is. That is sort of in a nutshell what episode 3 is. We do sort of end with a long shot of Dan backing away from the trunk after he pops it open, but no one comes out. We pick up in episode 4 where that same sequence is happening. And it's a beautifully shot sequence. He puts his hand into the car to sort of offer for Zoe, who we now find out was in the trunk, to offer her to come out. She doesn't. He backs away, and she finally steps out. And he goes through this whole ordeal. It's like, yeah, I am not trying to cause you harm, but I'm doing this for the best for you. You need to call your kid on your phone, so that he knows that it's actually you. But then we're going to have to destroy that phone, and we're going to have to take off on the road. If you want to scream at me, you want to yell at me, this is the place to do it because we're secluded enough that no one's going to be able to hear it. Let me have it. If not, we need to get back on this road and start moving so that no one can find us. Amy plays that scene perfectly. Zoe is just completely silent, but you can see on her facial mannerism she's just trying to sort of take everything in, but sort of acquiesce and knows that is the best case scenario for her right now. She's got to get in that car and sort of reassess as things go along, but this is the way that she needs to do things. But as it's a case in point that things are being done upon her or chosen for her, and she doesn't really have any onus on her own. We lose track of them. Harold has no idea where the hell Dan is, and so I think 72 hours have passed, and they need to now let Hamzad know that they can't find Dan. This episode does not make it clear enough, and I think there is a possibility. I think that he does know. He's just playing the long con, but it is not believed in what we have seen that Harold knows that Angela is actually Emily. Angela starts sort of asking more questions about Hamzad's wife. When she comes up with this story that says, hey, it's a third wheel, maybe we know about Dan, we know about Hamzad, maybe we should look into this third one to sort of get a bit more information. And Harold sort of plays it off and is like, well, why do you want to know about this? I feel like he is well aware of who she actually is, and has just been playing this long con to keep her around, keep her in his heart, keep her close to the vest, so that when he does get a hold of Dan, he kind of is like, I know who she is. I know who she is to you. I know why you guys have been talking. Because I don't feel like Harold is dumb enough or ignorant enough to not see this writing on the wall for who she is. Especially, she's also a little sloppy with where she makes these phone calls. Before they've been in the privacy of her own car, but now she's doing one in the bathroom, which just made me very uncomfortable after a big meet that she has. But she is still feeding intel to Dan, her father, and shortly after she gets it from whatever scenario she has with Harold. But what we come to learn is that Dan very much stole Hamzad's wife and fathered this kid, and then they kind of just disappeared off the map. They just went off the grid. And he's not about that. He's not for that. So we then have a meet where Harold, Ray, and Angela / Emily have a meet with Hamzad's lawyer. And Hamzad's lawyer is informed that they've lost Dan. And she's like, well, if you got nothing for us, then we're done here. And she gets up to leave. And Harold basically brings up the wife that Angela wanted to get more information on, the wife that she is sort of mentioned to Ray in a slightly earlier scene where she doesn't call her by Balor or the name, but she does say that I wasn't even close with my mom. She was there, but I always felt that she lived a life that was different than the one, she had a second life that was different than the one that she was presenting, and she had something else that was going on, and I would have liked to have known which of those was truly is. And she's a little bit living that duality herself with both playing Angela and Emily. But she's saying she didn't really know her mom. And so she brings this up into a hint with Harold, and then they have this meet. And just the look that Harold gives Angela when he starts bringing up the wife, which was sort of a lead-in that Angela gave. It's both, hey, I'm using the breadcrumbs you sort of gave me, but also Angela's not aware of this, but it feels like for me as the audience, I feel like Harold knows damn well who she actually is. And it's like, all right, cool. You can play this card to sort of keep you on the hook for that. So they set up a meet where he's going to be on a plane to go see Hamzat, and Angela is going to follow along. This is not going to end well. for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like Harold is using her as bait because he knows who she actually is. But I feel like if you put her in front of Hamzat's going to recognize her. And while he may not be an actual child that she knows, she's probably going to favor her mother in some way, maybe eyes, nose, like, are you so-and-so's daughter? And then he has seen Dan enough when he was young to kind of like, you look like what might have been their kid. So I feel like that's a dangerous situation to be up in the air without Dan kind of being there to back you up. But before she gets on that plane, he doesn't let Dan know what's going on. And Dan's like, nah, don't do that. That's a terrible idea. Break your phone, separate the chip, go off the grid. You know where to go, and I'll come meet you there. And she's like, no, I got to do this. I have to do this to find out more, to get up from underneath this boulder that's been on us. I need to keep going doing this. And she just hangs up on him, throws the phone away, gets rid of the chip, and gets on that plane. So Harold and Ray have a moment on the tarmac where he's like, don't hurt her. Don't mess this up with her. She's a really good agent, and I think she's going to be somebody that we want to keep around. And Harold's kind of like, do you have kids, Ray? No. Cool. Well, when you do, I just want you to remember that the most dangerous part of loving them is actually letting them in, which I feel like he is just in those statements, is he's well aware of this long con that Emily/Angela's putting on, and he's just letting her keep hanging herself till it's finally revealed. On the other part of that, Dan and Zoe make it to what is sort of a new respite, a new safe house for them. But they have to take on the names of the Dixons. Harold Dixon, and I want to say Mary, maybe? I forgot, but his definitely Harold. It's this nice, super fancy penthouse that they're in, but she's still under captive. He has left her there. He's bought her clothes and food and given her a new passport to sort of, you got to learn this new signature, but she is still not really able to make any decisions of her own. She's the type of person that kind of apologizes first for every single thing that she does. And so he leaves her there at the house to go have a business meeting to sort of move funds around and to get it done in a timely enough manner that he can keep the ball rolling. That doesn't work out for him. He sort of has a bad day, and the person that he meets is like, I don't think we'll be able to move things as quickly as you'd like them to be moved. While he's at this meet, Zoe gets a phone call as Mrs. Dixon to sort of say, hey, if you need anything at all with the business matters, please let us know. And so she uses the knowledge that she has from her previous divorce to say, hey, I think I can I get the wheels rolling. I think if I can get this guy by the balls, I can kind of take a little bit more ownership of this situation. So she makes a full dinner. Well, she orders dinner and pours some wine and has Dan come home and they sort of have a debrief one-on-one conversation with them talking. And she is pretty much letting in. He's unwinding, talking about his day. And she hits him with this, like, what's this? It's like, it's a letter. It's a letter that says, I'm going to divorce you, and I want to put on a divorce. And in this divorce, I want you to do this and this and this and this. And Dan's like, what the hell are you doing? And it's basically her shot across the bow to take back some of the ownership so that she is not always fearful of in question or at the mercy of whatever it is Dan wants to do. She wants to be treated as a 50-50 partner in whatever this is. While yes, she may have started off this being kidnapped, she wants to kind of get the leg up so that she is on equal footing with Dan in this. So she gives him a couple of options, like, hey, you can go ahead and give me money and make this a 50-50 thing. Put this money in my account and you do so. But I have this email set to go off with this letter at 10:17. If you get to put that money in my account, I'll stop it and we're all set. And then you and I, when anything we do, anytime movements we make, we're on the same footing. And number two is essentially the exact same thing, except for instead of making it 50-50 as far as straight down the line. He gives her a just lump sum of money to just sit in that house and just shut the hell up. Both of them are a massive form of extortion, and he is at his wit's end with it. He's furious, and it's a amazingly shot and acted scene. It's a dark night in the gorgeous looking penthouse with just the two of them catty corner to each other, and it's just a phenomenal shot to watch. As he then stands up, and he's in this. It's one of those acting class things. This is going to get really, but typically the person who's higher has the power in the scene, so he stands up over her while she sits down, and he, in theory, should have the power over her, but in this moment, she's sitting down, has taken complete control of the sequence, and she actually has the power while being in a seated point talking to him. It's a powerful sequence. But she finally says, like, I'm taking back some of this. I will not be at your mercy. I am taking back a lot of the power in this. This is from somebody who has been divorced, feels like the world has sort of been broken in on her, and she apologizes for everything. At this point, she's like, nope, we're done with that. I am now going to be one-on-one with you, so that whatever step we make from this point on, we make that together. And Dan says to her, like, this is a terrible decision, and you're going to make this difficult for both you and I. Because now if she wants to be a partner, she's now involving herself more in it. Like, he's done everything possible to make it seem like she is the victim. She's like, he's like, call your son and say that you're being held captive so that if this all goes wrong, you have complete deniability. You can just walk away and say, hey, I was held captive. What she's doing now, she's putting herself in the game now. If anything happens, she's now going to be treated as a 50-50 partner, and it's less as a victim and more of a Bonnie and Clyde. And I think that's going to terribly go wrong for her, because she's doing this as a person who's been damaged so much to protect herself, but she is not built for that life. Whereas Belor, Dan's first wife, or person that he's taken from Hamzat and wifed up, she is very much battle tested and ready. It's clear that Zoe is not. It's also clear that Emily is not. And so he's got a lot of women in his orbit who are not as strong as the one he lost, who are making some very just rash and terrible decisions for him. If you cannot tell in the way that I speak about the show, I love this thing. This is my wheelhouse. It is perfect. Typically I don't like shows that have a lot of flashbacks, but I love the flashback sequences in this to kind of give us an idea of who Dan was prior to being an old grizzly version of himself, to see what he was like. He was about that life. It's good to all come together in this. This show's been picked up for season 2, so it's one of those ones where, like, now I feel comfortable getting fully invested. I see the ratings going up each week. More and more people are watching this. Hulu sort of spits it out. We got one, folks. I'm full in on this show. What did you guys think about The Old Man? And what did you guys think about episode 4? And a little bit of episode 3, since I didn't get to talk about it before. Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI, or you can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name that is on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We are there. We also have a sort of a spin-off show called Marvel Pair Up, one of the Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus with a genre of film. This right now we're doing Miss Marvel, with all the coming of age stories over the decades of, like, the 80s, 90s, aughts, 10s, and 20s. You can find that here on YouTube or anywhere else that podcasts are played. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.